Hey, Nick. I mean, Bun.
Wait,
Fuck.
Are you
Every time.
you trying to do that?
I am not.
Like, is that your bit?
It should be a bit by now, but every time, literally throughout the entire day today, I was thinking, say Bun, say Bun, say Bun. It's in the name of the group. It's in the name of the podcast. Say Bun, say Bun. And what did I say? Hey, Nick.
So, welcome to Depressing Week.
Boo. I'm excited.
Oh, boy.
I'm excited.
I am not.
I'm excited.
Everything is sad and terrible.
Welcome
Welcome to Sticky Buns.
Sticky Buns. Woo.
Yay.
Our buns were a little sticky. It was hot yesterday.
My scalp is peeling, and it's very gross.
Already?
Yes.
Wow.
See?
You should put some, well, you did have that. For those of you who can't see the bun, he did a nice job of shaving his head. But
I did not do a nice job. Someone else told me I did a very poor job, and you lied to me that I did a good job.
He also did a good job of leaving parts of his indented head with more hair than the other, so it looks like he has a decoded message for aliens. Who are you trying to reach out to? Don't lie to us.
Anyone who will bring me happiness.
I
But it
can bring you
hasn't worked.
happiness.
No.
You ready? Oh, thank heaven for number 7.
I'm still trying to find a way to blame him for everything.
I know you are. For those of you who don't know, the Vikings lost. And the bun immediately asked for any part of that if he could blame it on Christian Ponder.
I actually was trying to blame the Peterson story on Christian
It's all
Ponder.
the same. It's all the same. We're depressed. We want to kill people, namely ourselves.
Why did we go into this season with hope? It was so foolish. I blame myself.
I still have hope, me friend. And not just because Adrian was reinstated today.
So, do we want to start with that?
Let's get the elephant in the room out of the way.
And then never talk about it again.
At least until next week.
Never again, hopefully.
Hopefully. So, who wants to start off? Do you want to tell me how you feeling, Bun? I almost said it. I didn't. I stopped myself. I'm on the road to recovery.
In general, and I felt this way with the Ray Rice case too, I feel that legal departments exist to handle these issues. And I guess I'm not surprised people are angry. I think if it was me, I think I would have at least added another game to the suspension. I thought it would be somewhere between 2 and 6 games. I thought it would be on the lower end of that. 1 seems surprising to me, but at the same time, I get that they're probably trying to hold on to the idea that once any conviction comes down or doesn't come down, they can add to the suspension then without it being the whole being punished twice for the same crime. But I don't think that's going to make anyone happy. Well, maybe we should even back up farther than that. How do you feel about whipping 4-year-olds with branches or switches?
Honestly, I can safely say I have never whipped not only a 4-year-old, but every age group ever that has existed.
You and
I have not
the wife
whipped.
don't have the leather whips going on?
I mean, you asked with a switch. I am fully in favor of whipping my wife with lots of different items. Switching would not be one of them. Again, like we talked about in the last episode, my wife would kill me, and I would like to live at least for a little while longer.
Are you sure? Given this week, are you really, really sure?
I am, because I am not as down about the Vikings as Sir Bun.
Yeah, I think we had similar thoughts that I don't think either of us are particularly against corporal punishment in its entirety. I believe that was your position as well. But certainly using a switch and on a 4-year-old seems like something that should remain in the past and was done away with for good reason.
You know,
that is my impression.
You know, in the car, not today, but yesterday, I was actually making a lot of jokes in my head about addressing this. and none of them were good. And when they're not good to you, they're certainly not going to be good to anyone who listens. There's just, you can't make fun of this. It's just, there's no good side of it. Yeah, I'm pretty much against it 100%.
Yeah. I guess I am. Like I said, if I'm not sure if this rises to the level of felony, it may not. I'm not expert. I don't have a problem if this is considered a felony. I guess.
do not believe it is considered a felony because it is not intent to harm. So he is only up to 2 years in prison, not 2 years to 10 years. But I am only a lawyer in looking at me. I look beautiful like them. So that's all. I can only play a lawyer on TV.
But regardless, I do feel surprised at how upset people get at the NFL. I saw someone on Facebook today, and their message, they had a link to the story that Pearson was reinstated, and their comment was, if there was any doubt before, the NFL's only all in caps, reason to exist is for money. And my reaction was, yes. And I guess I don't particularly have a problem with that.
I mean, okay, so my first response is businesses, that's why they exist. I will say that I am the proprietary owner of, not actually a proprietary, I have partners of a business, and we like to help people, but if helping people were free, I'm not sure I would continue doing it. I enjoy it heavily. That causes me great pain sometimes because I don't get paid as much as I want, but I don't think anyone does, except for, I don't know, Bill Gates probably. But yeah, that's the point of a business, is to funnel greenbacks into their pockets.
I mean, I guess good job on staying not jaded for longer than me. Congratulations, but welcome to my universe.
Your universe? You're
my
in control
mindset.
of this?
Yes, everything. No. And the thing is,
I'll get to
I'm
mine.
actually very open about criticizing corporations
homosexual?
a lot of the time.
Oh, not that kind of open?
No.
Oh.
I have problems with when they don't pay employees enough to, live.
I fucking hope you're not talking about fast food. I will murder you right there. Fast food workers trying to get $15 an hour, eat a dick.
15 seems excessive.
If you say anything above minimum wage, I will murder you where you stand or sit.
Well, then maybe I won't speak anything. Although I was more thinking actually of Apple in China.
Okay, I'm in favor of that.
Jumping off roofs because it's that terrible. I have a problem when they, lobby Congress to get loopholes written in laws, and then they take advantage of them and say, "Oh, we're just following the law, that we paid to have written."
They do a good job of that.
I have a problem how many of them are very environmentally destructive. Just not concerned. I never had a real issue with companies not being severe enough in enforcing their personal conduct policy.
Okay.
I have no problem with a company having personal conduct policy. I have no problem with them forcing that. I
Seems
would
like
have had
the thing
no
to do.
issue with the Vikings extending this suspension, and I thought they would, honestly.
Sure.
But that's never been something that's really gotten me fired up. I think, again, we have a legal system. If you have a problem with the penalty someone faced, it should be, in Ray Rice's case, I don't think I said it on the podcast, but I definitely said it other places. I don't have a problem with the NFL letting him play. I have a problem with him not being in jail.
Sure, yeah, well, yeah.
Or whatever the appropriate punishment would be. It does appear that he got a very sweetheart deal for whatever reason, and we don't know.
Yeah, less than 1% get that.
Yeah.
Weird, he's less than 1%. Who would have thought a professional athlete would fall in that category?
No. So, and I also don't have a problem. If someone can't watch Adrian Peterson without seeing those pictures and can enjoy watching him, and they want the team to know that, I'm fine with that. I don't have a problem. I can't tell them that they should just get over it. That's their thing, but I guess I'm a bad person because I really don't care that much that the NFL isn't the enforcer of morality. I also don't know that the person who prepared my Qdoba meal earlier today, they might have criminal charges filed against them, but I really don't care because I don't begrudge them their job if the legal system has not taken them out of society.
Yeah, that's where exactly kind of the area I fall into. So there are two things, right? And everyone keeps arguing the one, and I feel like they're trying to affect the second, but I feel they're separate. So, did what he did, do we view that as wrong as part of, are we part of the society grouping who thinks that's wrong and should never happen? Or are we part of the societal grouping who is okay with that? I think we're both on the first, the beginning end. We don't like that.
Yeah.
I can safely say I would never do that.
Yeah.
And I was never beat with a switch because I'm of a cultural stance that doesn't exist really, especially growing up in the North Midwest. I'm not sure that switches exist up here. Only in fairy tales.
What fairy tales did you listen to?
Well, you know that fairy tales originally are actually very dark and gruesome.
Oh, a lot of them are, yeah.
And
I
horrible.
just hear generally the horrid fairy tales. I mean, the witch trying to eat Hansel and Gretel, I guess. But
remember, I am a theater major, so
you learned the original version with the switches.
Yeah, my mom tried to scare the bejesus out of me. I was not the greatest kid ever. I tried very hard to apparently be a problem child, and I routinely got my behind handed to me with varying degrees of weaponry. I'm not sure that it made me the man I am. I mean, it did. It did. I distinctly remember the same thing was happening to my sister, and I took a stance, and that was the first time I took a stance on anything in my life other than He-Man, the TV show, the cartoon. And I still remember that to that day. That's when I determined I wanted to be that kind of a person. However, I don't think that I don't believe that created my mindset, and so you should do that to others to create the similar mindset. I think I'm a rarity in terms of coming out that way. I don't dislike my parents for that. In fact, I love my parents very much. I will say, in a bit of weird honesty, that later on in life, I had a lot of issues that I had to deal with, partially because of those events happening earlier in my life. And I've overcome them, but it was not... I overcame them because I was forced to deal with those issues or, lose parts of my life or people in my life if I hadn't dealt with them. Again, wish it hadn't happened, not just because it hurt at the time, but because it had lasting effects into my adulthood that I didn't really think about or realize. But love my dad, love my mom. I would still jump in front of a train for them. But it taught me not to do it ever. So that's number one. Number two, that was a long number one.
I'm fine.
It's like I drank a lot of water. I just kept going and going. Number two.
Weird analogy.
Well, I said number one. Number two is when you just sit and you enjoy yourself. No, number two is his job. So we don't condone what he did.
Yep.
His job happens to be where he is rich and famous, and I stopped believing I don't think I ever thought they were idols. But I think it was more because I wasn't the cool kid, so I didn't even know who Michael Jordan was till I was probably in college. And then he probably retired by then. Yeah. So, do I think he should be penalized? Sure, because that's kind of what they do. But I saw a lot of people asking for him to be released and banned and cut and never play again. That's way extreme. Just like you, I have been around other people, you at Qdoba, me working with, who have checkered pasts. And while I don't agree with what they did in their past, I don't think they should lose their entire world because of it. I mean, unless we're talking about killing people and they should go to jail and lose their world, yes.
But even then, only for a little while. Like we talked with Dante Stallworth. He was allowed to come back.
Yeah.
This is the whole message of Orange is the New Black.
I love Orange is the New Black. And Season 2 had a lot of weirdness to it. Big fan. Big fan. And Laura Prepon? I'm sorry. Can we take a time out? Just for a minute. I need to bring up Season 1 in the shower. Yeah, so I think he should be punished, and I think the law should come into play, which it seems to be taking that course. But I thought of it from an employer side. If one of my people, if I heard about this, would I fire them? Because that's it. That's essentially the case. I wouldn't, and not because I agree with what they did. I think those are two separate things. I don't agree, but it's kind of it's part of a personal thing that does not involve me. I have to make it very clear that kind of behavior is not acceptable as in the image of my company, and that they are treading in shallow water in terms of if I can keep them, but only because of the perception of I can't have people not doing business with me. And if it was a little larger, they could probably take hits better than I can take hits. But I wouldn't fire them. Now, if it continued, I probably would. But that's... yeah. It's a sticky situation. Like sticky buttons.
I'll say I've noticed, and it's been interesting, and I'm not sure which side is right or wrong, but I've noticed a definite divide between people who have youngish children and those who don't. Have you noticed that at all?
Well, yes and no. It also depends on where you grew up.
Yes.
Because like Keyshawn Johnson was on TV saying he has a 2-year-old, and that's the way he was brought up, and he's a great man because of it. Now, I would dispute the great man section, but he has a young child and was very much on the side of, yeah, that's fine. Versus, let's say, a guy like Ben Lieber, both NFL players, who grew up more northern and away from that section, and being Korean, I don't know if that has any effect. He says that if he ever looked at his kid and knew that he had done that, he would not be able to live with himself anymore. It's over. And he just couldn't do it. So I feel like you have to be of a select group. You have to be of that cultural growing up, and you have to... I don't know. I don't understand it. I didn't have switches. I had baseball bats. I wasn't beat by a baseball bat. That would just be... I'd probably be dead. I'll be honest. I'd probably be dead.
I'll say that, and this kind of surprised me, because of the coverage I've heard has been very... Well, you've heard it. It's been very negative towards Vikings reinstating.
Oh, I don't think I've seen anything positive, which is why I generally don't talk about it.
ESPN Sports Nation has a poll up.
Oh,
Do you
good
agree
for
with
them.
the Vikings' decision to reinstate Adrian Peterson? And so far, there have been...
Hold on. Don't tell me the results yet.
I'm planning on wait. I'm just going to tell you there have been 234,874 people who have voted so far.
Okay.
What do you think the percentages are?
Well, I think it's not even close. But I think we should ask each other that. Do you agree with their decision to reinstate them?
I don't know that I would use the word agree, but I don't have a problem with it.
That's weird. That's weird, Mr. Bunn. I disagree
Okay.
with their decision. I was talking to my mother last night. No, Saturday night. And I said the same thing I said to you. I said, if you asked me what's worse, beating a woman, an adult woman, knocking her out, or beating a 4-year-old, it's no contest. Beating a 4-year-old.
No.
They're defenseless. They can't do anything. They can't even think about what's going on. This is just pain. But if you ask me which is worse, Ray Rice's situation or Adrian Peterson's situation, I say I don't think it's that close either, but it's Ray Rice. So it's all about context. And I said, I followed that up with saying, the Vikings are usually really intelligent on these items. They get ahead of it. They make their own choice. They start punishment immediately, like with Chris Cook. They allow the public fever to dissipate a little bit. And then, depending on the outcome, they allow them back into their organization. The Chris Cook thing was, I hated every second of it, but it was brilliant. Because they still thought he had talent. And I agreed with the assertion that if they were to cut him immediately, he'd be picked up. I don't think that's a question. Because he's got the size, even though he sucks.
Well, I mean, he was picked up, and that was after he demonstrated less talent than
right.
thought at that point.
But it was brilliant. They let him. They basically said, "Go away. We'll pay you so that it's not against the CBA." They probably could have worked something out, but whatever. We'll pay you. Go away. We'll see you next year. And while people said, "I can't believe he's still on the team," that was it. It was like a whisper. So, I was a fan of them disciplining him. I think it's incredibly dumb to reinstate him this soon. Well, let me backtrack. I think it's okay to reinstate him. I think it's dumb to say, I'm reinstating him and he's available to play. It has to be longer. I love Adrian Peterson as a football player.
You have a problem with it because you think it's bad PR move. Is that...
It's...
stupid PR move. It's criminally stupid.
It's like beyond PR. This is... because you not only get the people who hate you because you brought back the monster, you get the people who are fans of the game who now hate you because it wasn't severe enough. You get the same thing that happened to Ray Rice. Because instead of it being at least an okay amount of time, it's now this incredibly short. And you're not sharing information. I totally understand the not sharing information section. But if you're not going to share information, it can't be won. It can't.
So what do you think the percentage is?
Oh my God. 98-2?
66% agree with the Vikings decision.
What? Wait. Does it doesn't specify that these are all fantasy players who have him on their
team.
team.
They did not check that.
That's
there
insane.
There are only 2 states where the number of people who disapprove of the Vikings decision exceed the
50%.
People who feel like they screwed up.
Minnesota. Is Minnesota one of them?
No. Minnesota, with 48 of the country, 48 of the states, agrees that the punishment or the Vikings were right.
Wow. Okay.
It's 2 random ones. I don't think you'll get it. So
like Massachusetts and Delaware.
Close. Massachusetts and New Hampshire.
That was my third guess.
Both at 49% versus... oh, wait. Yeah, 49 and 51%. So even those only disapprove by 2%.
Maybe I just listen to too many talk shows.
See, I think there are certain people who have been very vocal about it, and I think there might be more people... well, I mean, this poll certainly suggests there are more people that might think we do, but, I mean,
I don't need to see the picture. I know what the United States looks like.
Well,
I anticipated it to be blue and red like every other poll ever.
I did find certain things about this funny, though.
Uh-oh. Certain things? Not everything.
The Minnesota actually is pretty consistent. I mean, like I said, it's 66 versus 34.
Okay.
Minnesota is at 67 versus 33.
Okay.
Most of the disapproval comes from the Northeast, which there are 2 states there that overly disapprove, the only 2.
Fuck them.
But most of those are in the low 50s to 60s approval. In the South.
Oh, this is up his alley. Even in the Bible Belt, I'm sure that somewhere in the Bible it probably says that. Sorry, Christians. I'm a Christian, but the Bible says some fucked
Do
up
not
things.
spare the rod is the verse you're looking for.
It doesn't. Hey, I know you go to church way often, more often than I do. But the Bible's a little fucked up sometimes.
The Old Testament is full of things that are just like, what the hell?
Yeah. Like, I think we'd all be dead if we followed it.
But anyhow, Texas, 74. Oklahoma, 77.
In favor?
In favor.
Ooh, those are big numbers.
Arkansas, 73. Mississippi, 77.
77.
Alabama, 76. Tennessee, 73. Georgia, 73. South Carolina, 76. North Carolina, 73. Florida's dropped to 68. Now, I missed one state. Did you notice the state I missed?
No, I don't remember the
Louisiana is at 63%, but apparently the people in Louisiana, at least, the only state touching them, the lowest approval rating, the state touching them is 73 with Arkansas. So they are 10 points more disapproving of this decision.
Do you think that's because the people that would have been in favor of it washed away?
I think that's because we play the Saints. And so it's very easy to get very righteous about this.
Yeah, especially if it's coming from a sports website.
I'm
sorry to everyone who was washed away.
But, and again, Midwest, Minnesota, 67. Iowa, 66.
Liberals.
Illinois, 60. Indiana, 66.
Fantasy football players.
Ohio, 64. Michigan, 63. What is Wisconsin's number?
Oh my God, 0?
53.
Of course, because
it's a drop of a good 10 percentage points again because it's Wisconsin.
They secretly had meetings after it happened and said, yes, they're afraid of the horns.
I found it interesting that for the negative press that the poll numbers were different than I expected. Worldwide, it's interesting. The international poll results, that's about a fourth. It's more than a fourth of all votes are international votes, apparently. They're also at 67% approval.
Well, I'm glad to be part of the majority. Wait, no, I'm part of the minority. You're the majority.
Yep.
Because I disagree. What is
Knowing
this?
those numbers, do you still disagree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't care about those states or internationally. Look at the bad publicity the Vikings already have. Can you imagine what it's going to be tomorrow and the next day and the next day?
I said this with the Ray Rice thing when we talked about it last week. I said in a week there will be a brand new thing to get all excited about.
Ray Rice is so happy right now.
And now Ray Rice is filing for reinstatement.
Yeah,
and I think he has a decent case because it does seem to be that he was penalized twice, unless they can prove that he lied to the commissioner. Right or not, I think he has a decent case, and no one cares.
I have an idea. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Fire Goodell. He makes what, $30-some million?
44.
44. Okay, probably got bonuses.
Yep.
Fire Goodell. Hire you and me in this spot. I'll take $1 million. You take $1 million. We will save them oodles of money. And we'll appoint an arbitrator. What do you think? You in?
I like it.
But I don't want to move to New York, so we're moving NFL headquarters to Minneapolis.
Okay. So
That was all I was going with that.
that was awful. Let's
Yes, it
hopefully
was.
never talk about it again.
Okay,
Do we want to go to mailbag?
mailbag.
Between this horribleness and the other horribleness, we'll have a little brief moment of less horribleness.
We did get a response back from we'll call him RG. What did we call him last
RG3?
week?
You called
No.
him RG.
Did I call him RG? RG wrote in, very excited. He likes the what we're doing. Thank you, sir. But he has some questions. I'm going to leave the Vikings-centered one for a bit. I'm going to start with you, Bun.
Okay.
He wants to know, what would it take for you to get naked during our podcast? Are you going to do it now? You've got kind of gym shorts on or I don't know what those are. Are you going to get naked now?
No.
I will fantasize about it. You can.
See, I saw the email and I started thinking about 100%. And part of the reason this will never happen is because you lack the proper amount of shame about the human body.
Absolutely.
You should have your God-given shame about the human body, especially the male body.
I'll show you the crevices.
And see, the thing is, if I got naked, you wouldn't look away. You'd just stare at me.
I'd look you up and down, bitch.
I know you would. You'd just
Oh,
be staring at me. It's like, are you looking at my penis? And you would agree. And then you would say something and you would try to make it not sound insulting, but it would be insulting because it would be like, oh, it's kind of cute.
We would comment. We would comment about your penis. I would start it off. You'd be offended, and we'd talk about it.
Yeah, so partly because of that, and because I have the proper amount of shame,
That's a
that
terrible
won't happen. I will say, our intern told me that he was out of the podcast because he will not deal with Luke's shenanigans.
What? We had our first quitting?
Yep,
What shenanigans do I possess?
the getting undressed.
I call shenanigans on... It was requested. Have I gotten naked outside of that request?
Previously.
What? For the podcast? I
No.
didn't. See? Yes, years ago. Years ago.
So that is the answer to that one.
Do you deny it was not requested?
I never said it wasn't requested, but one does not have to do everything that one is requested to do.
Yes, we do. There are people. We only have like 5. We have to appease them.
5 might be generous.
We're going to move on. I don't
Okay.
like your answer, and I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Okay.
That's how pissed I am that you won't show me your pee-pee. Your peppy.
Your bun junior?
Your Bun Junior.
Your junior bun.
You. We had a non-Vikings question.
Yes, we did.
I kind of want to ask it, but I'm kind of afraid to because it could turn into a long, rambling
No.
dissertation.
I don't think it will.
Okay, then answer it.
Well, ask the question.
What would you do with the Twins?
Well, what I would do is fire both Terry Ryan and Ron Gardenhire.
Terry Ryan's old. What if he dies when you tell him? He almost died when you didn't
takes care
tell
of the
him.
severance package.
Ooh, touche. You're a shrewd businessman. Are you Jewish?
No. Wow.
I watched Monuments of Men last night. There was a lot of Jews. Yep, that happened.
Yeah. The question was more, how was this allowed to happen? And I don't have a good answer for that. I don't understand the thinking, other than to say I don't think the owners really demand a world championship. I think they want one. I think they're hopeful, but I don't
You think they like mediocrity?
I don't think they like
Or
it.
they're
I think they're
accepting
comfortable.
of it?
They're very accepting of it. And I think that has filtered down. And I don't think...
Like, they'd like to win the World Series, but if all they do
But
is
I
stay
would also
500...
like to get in shape, and here I am sitting on this couch.
You are the fucking Twins of getting in shape.
That's right.
You are fired. Well, I have no answer because, let's be honest, ever since Game 1, I believe it was, of the ALCS, yeah, the ALCS against the Red Hot Los Angeles, no, what were they? Anaheim Angels? What were they back then? What's their name?
Anaheim.
Okay, back then, when I was walking up the steps in the Metrodome with my $5 hot dog and my $8 soda, and I dropped that goddamn hot dog because I tripped on the steps, and I watched it roll down and lost half my beverage. Ever since then, I have basically hated them. And I know that Casey, one of our friends at the time, did give me a new hot dog if I ate a tube of chapstick, which I gladly ate. But what I didn't know is he tricked me, and that our other friend Patrick, his dad had bought everyone $5 hot dogs. So I just got one for free, even though he told me he bought it for me. Liar. And so I can't answer that because I have held a grudge that they made me. Do you know
you held the grudge against the Twins for this?
Do you know what it's like to watch a $5 hot dog roll down the steps? And then we lost the game.
I know we lost. We've lost every playoff game out of the last 12.
I go to 1 game a year, 2 games a year.
No, it's baffling to me. But
this is yours.
I don't think it changes this year, is the thing. I think they have finally accumulated enough high draft picks to field a decent team, not the following year, but the year after, and so next year we'll be having some excitement of seeing some of these guys, and then hopefully the year after that is when they actually start performing and be the new core for this team, kind of like the team that came up in 2001, or came up before then, some of them, but started really taking charge. But we may have success in what is generally a mediocre division, but I don't know that it will ever go farther than that. Maybe one year they'll get hot at the right time, but no, I definitely share the frustration. I think part of the frustration is our friend might be feeling is you don't see a lot of talk about whether or not Gardenhire is coming back. I think a lot of columnists might be waiting for the end of the season. It seems foolish to, focus that much on the end of the season when you're that close. Why not let the season play out and then publish those columns? I think we might start seeing some more, but I'm not sure. It'll be very interesting to watch the season ticket renewal rate numbers come in. They were boosted this year by having the All-Star game. They won't have that next year, obviously. So, and maybe if those numbers are poor enough, it will force a change.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I think I may have a solution. Would you said you wanted to fire Ron and Terry. Would you replace Terry Ryan, our general manager, with Kevin Costner, who played a wonderful general manager for the Browns in draft day?
He made bizarre trades.
But he fucking traded away 3 number 2s for 3 number 1s. That is ridiculous.
It really is.
That is the trades were all realistic up until the last one. You're going to trade me 3 number 1s for this number 1. The dumbest thing I've ever heard. And so Kevin Costner is our GM, and Luke Edwards as our manager. Now I by the look on your face, you have no idea who Luke Edwards is, but he was awesome as kind of a player manager, or shall we call him player owner, Billy Haywood. He did a great job in Little Big League. I am wondering if you tag team those two together, if we can't pull this sucker out.
If you're not going to take this seriously,
I'm fucking serious. Did you see the look on my face?
Yes, I do. We're moving on.
Fine. What do you want to talk about now? Do you want to talk about the Viking-centric question? Actually, let's recap it, because I think the Viking-centric question will fit in well with the recap.
Okay.
How did you feel about that game? Do you need a tissue? Hot towel? You want a bath? Yes, I asked you if you want a bath.
That game was disastrous on many, many levels. Makes me very sad. I started trying to justify it, find a way to justify it this morning well, if we had AP, maybe that drive that we attempted the field goal on, maybe we finished that drive, that's a touchdown for us, not for them.
The drive.
And then maybe the interception that was returned to the 1 yard line doesn't happen because we're running more. And so that takes away another one of their touchdowns. That gives them 16 points, gives us 14 points, and then that last drive at the end, we were in field goal range, and we could have won. And then I realized if you change 3 major plays in any game, you can change the outcome of basically every single game.
Wait a second. Hold on. First off, the 3 that you changed, you had such a large gap between that and the last possession. Nothing happens? We just go 3 and out, 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 3 and out?
It would have been nice if we went 3 and out. We did 1 and interception half the time.
I'm just saying there's a large gap in your theory of we change these plays and then
everything else happens exactly the same. I was trying to make it so it wouldn't require a lot of differences for us to be competitive. Because if you think, obviously those things didn't happen. And like I said, once you get to those points, you can change the outcome of basically every single game. But if you take away the touchdown on the blocked field goal, and you don't count the touchdown where the Patriots got the ball on the 1 yard line, so the defense really didn't have a chance, the defense only gave up 16 points. That's not a terrible performance. The problem is we need them to not simply be not terrible. We needed them to make plays, and they were decidedly lacking in making plays.
Okay. I'm feeling your jive. I'm hip to what you're feeling. But really, outside of Castle, who did not bring his A game,
or his B game, or his C game,
I saw a video of someone grading him, and they're like, I just can't give you a passing grade. No shit, asshole. He have 4 interceptions. I'm sorry I swore, but really, do you have to be, I can't do it? No, yeah. Weird. I thought he was going to get an A. I believe only 2 of those were really on him. And one of them, I'm okay with. The first interception, I'm okay with.
See,
it should have been a better pass.
Yeah,
but I'm kind of okay with it because stuff happens, right? That if you're gonna try it, you better do well, or stuff happens. Then there was a tipped one that's not really him, and Greg Jennings completely stopped his route.
Now the question is did the way they practice that, if the corner has outside coverage where he's going to be able to make a play on it.
You've been listening to the radio.
I have been listening to the radio.
You cheater. Sure, but it is a timing route, so I can't be mad at Greg for making that decision, but it's not Castle's fault. Because he threw the route that was called, right?
Potentially. We don't know
that is true. That is true. But we do know that at one play...
We know at the end it was 4 interceptions, and those killed the Vikings' chances.
It was really only one play that killed us. One.
Just the punt?
Absolutely. The blocked field goal. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because even if you... Okay, so we could have scored a touchdown, but you're not going to. So you score the field goal. It's what? 17-10?
Yep.
At half. That's completely manageable. And you go in saying, we really effed this thing up. And we're only down 1 score. Instead, you go to 24-7. 24-7. That is a giganto swing.
It's a big swing.
That's huge.
Oh,
That's like your penis. Big.
So, like I said, I was trying to justify this game, but as I started thinking about it more, there were just so many depressing parts of this game. And it's not just Castle threw the interceptions. It was the other missed plays by Castle as well. The Rudolph should have been touchdown.
Oh my God. Don't remind me. That's the depressing play.
That was
You
a
had him
huge one.
streaking up the seam,
And that takes
uncovered.
away
Uncovered.
that takes away the field goal attempt. So you could say that was the big swing play.
Unfucking covered.
And even after he missed that, there were a couple plays where a great catch could have made the difference, but a slightly
Sure.
thrown ball. There were, there was one to Patterson where he stepped out of bounds. There was another one to Jennings where he couldn't stay in bounds. Where those would have been
Accuracy
huge.
was a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was one depressing thing. We saw bad Matt Castle, and we knew, or at least I knew, coming into the season, we were going to see at least 2 or 3 bad Matt Castle games if he started the whole season.
I'm not even joking. I wish people were there. The first incomplete pass. The first, Mr. Bunn. You turned to me and said, I hope we're not seeing the bad Matt Castle, because we're going to see bad Matt Castle at some point. The first.
And I saw it happening.
But, Bunn, you can't possibly... You're so negative that the first mistake is, oh my God, this could be horrific. It was, for him, not the team. You're way too negative. But you cannot possibly entertain that as a real thought. I did enjoy your status on Facebook of you shouldn't have gone in with hope.
Yep.
I laughed so hard.
I
So
blame
hard.
myself. But
You should blame yourself because there's lots of hope. The team did really well. The team did really well.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, so the Matt Castle thing was depressing because it was bad Matt Castle, and we
Yes.
knew we were going to see 2 or 3 of those games this year if he starts the whole year. It's a little sad to see it so early in the season because that means we're going to see there's a better chance for more bad Matt Castle.
Those things are not similar. No. I
I
disagree.
think if you have a
You
streak
are
of
wrong.
good Matt Castles, then
This
before
is
you see
one-
bad one,
Yes, they are not the Patriots of old, but they're still a fucking good team.
I'm not even convinced they are. Is the thing.
But they didn't have to pull out the stops on us.
I know they didn't. But
So we saw half of them. They almost never used. Gronkowski didn't have a single statistic in the first half. That's how much they didn't care, because they were up 24-7.
well, I think that was largely this is where I get to where I'm not sure they're that good. I think they are concerned about Brady not looking as good because they went all out on protecting him.
yeah. You saw the Miami game? They had no choice.
Yeah.
Zero choice.
And I think like I said, it wasn't just, I don't mean protecting him just in terms of protecting him from a bad offensive line. I think he doesn't look the same.
Sure, he's older. And when you have a wife that hot, you're pumping semen into her every day, you're gonna lose some zip on your ball.
I'm not even entirely sure how to handle that comment, but like I said, I'm not convinced the Patriots are that good. That's why this loss is so depressing to me.
We'll
We'll have
you
to
shouldn't
watch
be
and see.
depressed. You shouldn't be depressed.
Okay,
Yes,
let me continue on my depression tour.
I look forward. Are there stops? Do I get to get food at some point during the depression tour? Is there a guide? I don't want to get lost and be stuck in depression.
I don't even
world.
know that I need you here for the depression tour.
You don't.
So,
Depression City.
bad Matt Castle.
Population 1.
Kind of sad. Hopefully, it's not something that sticks around. The thing is, and I kind of talked about this, what was it, last week, that on second look, I wasn't as impressed with the Vikings offense because all their plays were set up by the defense, essentially.
Sure.
So,
Kind of like the Patriots.
I honestly thought the game plans were similar for how the Vikings played in the first game versus how the Patriots played in
Absolutely.
this game.
Absolutely.
So I didn't think Castle looked that impressive in the first game, and then he looked downright terrible this game, which I know you don't probably want to talk about this, but if this doesn't change after the bye, we could see Teddy.
That's not going to happen.
But that's early. Let's wait to see if bad Castle goes away before we jump onto that, because we've talked.
We have a long way to go.
Yeah. We have a lot to talk about. Another depressing thing was, you could say they would do this anyhow, but it feels like Spielman has been slowly moving the team away from AP, just preparing for the day when AP will not be the greatest running back in the league.
Okay. Because he's in jail.
At least that's my impression.
Because he's in jail. Go ahead.
I thought that game showed that we are not as far along that path as I hoped.
It's one game.
Well, yeah, but that's what we have to judge on. We should just ignore this game.
Did you
and
bring
go
your
with hopeful, dreamy things of what we think the team is actually like in our hopeful, happy, stupid, retarded land.
Did you bring your jump to conclusions map? Or did you pass go?
So what else should I base it on? My hopeful happiness?
Well, okay.
Because I don't have a lot of hopeful happiness. I may have been basing this on my hopeful happiness.
First off, yes, I do agree that we've been migrating away from the run. But because everything around the run was so poor, you didn't have a choice. You had to.
We're going to talk about that as well.
Okay. So, yes, but literally one game of insufficient running because you're down magically already by
there was nothing magical about that.
17 points, and all of a sudden we are not as far along. That's ridiculous, Mr. Bum.
We already talked that Castle was already off, as we saw from
Yes.
the sideline catches, the missed Rudolph ones,
Yeah.
not to mention. But it also looked like our wide receivers had an extraordinarily difficult time getting off the jam.
Sure.
And that's concerning.
Again, it's one game.
Is it one game? Because
Yeah, actually, it is one game.
This is an issue that
we need to
Patterson
look back.
had earlier as well.
Really?
Yes.
Because I have never heard you say this before.
But I heard Lieber say that on the radio.
Who the fuck? You're not Ben Lieber.
No, I'm listening to Ben Lieber.
It doesn't matter who you're listening to. You don't get to automatically become them and take their takes. You have zero idea on that.
I don't have zero idea. I listen to someone And
what are we basing it on?
based on what Lieber said.
Okay. But what games are we basing this off of? That would be my
Whatever
question.
games Lieber views as important.
Okay. Hold on. So you
Believe Lieber.
are Ben Lieber.
No, I'm not Ben Lieber. I trust Ben Lieber.
But you are not. You're not even asking questions. You're joining the Ben Lieber cult. You are blindly following everything he says.
Not everything, but I trust him.
Hold on.
This.
Do you know what he said after preseason about Anthony Barr, and then what he said after the first game about Anthony Barr?
He said many things about them both before and after the game.
He said that Anthony Barr is a one-trick pony. He is nowhere close to being ready. And, they can start him, but they should not expect anything from him. And that he's going to learn really quickly. In the NFL, you can't just have that one trick, the speed rush. It's just not going to work.
Did Barr have a good second game?
It was okay. But our defense wasn't really in a position to have a good game in general, because when you're starting with the kind of field positions they had, it's not going to work out. And then after the first game, he basically said he's everything that he was built to be. he's got a couple different moves. He's set up. He's going to be awesome. And I was like, literally last week, you said the exact opposite.
Okay, so we should just throw... I find it concerning the receivers had trouble getting off the jam. And I find it concerning that I hear reports that they've had that issue in the past, and that's not solved.
You don't
go with that.
You don't hear reports. You heard Ben say that. No one else has said that.
Okay, fine.
We really need a webcam version of your face during this conversation. You are so angry.
Next step on the depression tour.
Okay, ding ding. Next stop.
Khalil.
Hold on. We're going to spend the least amount of time on this as possible.
Okay.
You tell me he sucks. Say it. Or he sucked.
He did not play well.
It was probably the worst game he's ever played. Can we move on to the next stop?
It's concerning. Wouldn't you agree that is concerning that we might have to start? I wasn't concerned coming into the season about him.
No. I swear I will commit murder if you tell me we need to start thinking about getting a new left tackle.
I think we have to considering.
We have to I will considering.
No.
But I will not
You're just
consider
being absurd.
Considering. No.
Next.
No. Wait a second.
I thought you wanted this to be a short one.
Because I agreed with you, but then you said something really dumb. Yes,
Did Khalil have a terrible last season?
It was a bad season. If you compared last season to yesterday's game was worse.
So that's a concerning trend.
But he did a much better job in the first game. Actually, let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Because do you know who said he did a great job in the first game?
Someone that's not credible.
Ben Lieber. He actually said that on further review that all the pressures that Robert Quinn had were up the middle and through the guard, not to Matt Khalil. And Matt Khalil did a spectacular job.
But I thought we don't trust him.
No, I'm saying we shouldn't believe everything he says.
So we shouldn't trust that.
Right. Only things that I listen to.
Okay. Fair enough.
Finally, you're coming to my side. What's the next stop in the Depression Tour?
Our defensive line was supposed to crush their offensive line. Now, I'll agree that they were put in bad positions a lot, but we expected them to make plays.
Yes.
And there was a distinct lack of plays made.
Yeah, I don't think they executed very well at all. I certainly don't think we need to look into getting a new defensive line.
No, but it does raise concerns about if they were as far along as we hoped they were.
Sure, maybe. I don't know. It's only game 2. Game 1, we thought they were the most amazing group unit ever in the history of mankind. In game 2, you think that they are the worst unit.
I don't think they're the
ever.
worst. I just think that we may have gotten overly excited about game 1.
Possibly.
But,
actually, speaking on this, Mike Zimmer, I don't know if you've heard of him, he actually said that he didn't really know what to say about Game 2 because he has never seen that before. He said in his post-game conference that he has never seen the team act like that, play like that, or do anything like that in all of their practices, training camp, preseason, and the first game.
They were all missing 28.
Yeah, something like that. So he said it will be addressed, and I fully believe him. But that's why I don't think we should jump off a cliff. That the people who see them every day are even the people who say we have a long way to go. That's what Zimmer said after the first game in the press conference. We still have a long way to go. Even he said, I don't have any idea where that came from because those jackasses didn't do anything like that before. And we're going to make sure that they don't do it tomorrow.
Okay. Next stop on
Ding,
the Depression
ding.
Tour.
All aboard!
The Patriots clearly came in with a plan to attack Xavier Rhodes. And you can complain about the officials, and you might, if we review the game, I might even agree there were ticky-tacky calls or even just plain bad calls.
Might have been ticky-tacky.
But
they
clearly came in with that plan. And I think we were both hoping that that's not something a team would try to execute. We knew there were other weaknesses in the secondary that they might go after, but they clearly thought we can exploit Xavier Rhodes.
Well, I don't know. No. I don't think that was their game plan.
You don't?
I think it became the game plan.
Okay.
Xavier Rhodes, he's always been a very handsy guy. That was the thing at Florida State. He was a pro and it's a con. And based upon Vikings West and how they went all the way to the Super Bowl and won, doing the same thing, I'm kind of okay with it. I know it's going to burn you, but basically the Legion of Dumb said that it's going to burn you, but it's not going to burn you every play.
Now, here was the other issue, though. I mean, there were the calls. There were also times he was just flat out beat.
Sure, but
and that happened
a
but decent amount.
As he's a big man, Julian Edelman is not a big man.
And that's why I felt they should have jammed him, but you were very upset with me for that strategy.
Well, it's not about jamming or not jamming.
I think it's about jamming or not jamming.
Sure. Did you pick a jam yet?
Jam your face.
I told you I'd kill you if you took grape. I want to kill you a lot, apparently.
You're a very violent person.
Very willing to commit murder when it comes to you and on you and with you. The problem is with these smaller type guys, they're more difficult to jam because they're wily, right? They're small and limber. They're not. So when you put a big guy to jam them,
they've got to make the jam count.
Yeah, and it doesn't count as often as you'd like it to. Xavier's a big man, and so the things Edelman does well is exactly what Xavier Rhodes fails at. I don't know if he can get better at it. I don't know.
He's going to need to.
I agree. So, but I don't know if that's something where you could have shifted Captain over to him, because that's Captain's receiver. Because Captain's a diminutive, shifty cornerback who likes to punch big people in the face. So Xavier did have a poor day. He did have, although the refs also had a poor day. Because, as also a coach of a sports team, if you're going to call it every goddamn play, you need to call it every goddamn play for everyone. That was my problem. Not that I wasn't saying that he wasn't. I certainly think there were a couple instances where he didn't actually commit that foul. But call both ways. You're going to give Xavier 4? Fine. But the Patriots better have those as well. Even though they had like 1,000,000 yards. They actually had more yards in penalties than passing. How do you win? Because doesn't matter. That's probably the next stop. That's how I feel about Xavier Rhodes.
Okay.
It's what? I think he missed a game or two last year.
At least.
So this would be like game 16 for him. Very young. Obviously we saw talent at the end of the year, and he's trying to learn a new system. And we also did not hear that he picks up systems very well. So he's dumb. Stop peeling your head.
It's greasy.
That's
what
she said. What? Nick. I mean, it's bun.
Now, here's the one where you'll probably hate me even more and actually commit murder.
Ding, ding, next up. Murdersville. Population
This is going to be
sticky.
my last one.
Ooh. He saved the best for last.
I did not enjoy Turner's calling of the offense. And this goes directly to actually our remaining question.
It does. The remaining question was, why did they not run at all with Patterson?
Yeah. And I didn't actually...
I liked it.
Maybe they looked at the way the Patriots' defense is, and they thought there wasn't much of an opening. They only ran once with a wide receiver doing that type of play, and Wright lost 5 yards. And maybe they saw an issue where they're like, nope, just the way their scheme is, that wouldn't be a good play. At the same time, it was a shit ton of shotgun. It was
shotgun.
And
oh God, they're in shotgun.
I know you're going to say that they were behind, and they were.
They were.
It was the score never got past 3 scores.
You act as if that's like 2 points.
No, but I'm saying until there's until you're at about the 2/3 of the way left with the fourth quarter, I don't think you completely abandoned the run like the Vikings did. Asiata, and I have no great love for Asiata.
True. You on the fantasy team, you didn't even choose to pick him up or his backup. You chose the guy off the practice squad.
I did.
And I quote, I hope the Vikings see more of Adrian Peterson in Joe Banyard than they see in Matt Asiata.
I don't think
and
that's
Jerick
a direct
McKinnon.
quote, but I said I think something along those lines where I think he has more of the moves like Peterson. He obviously does not have Peterson's moves.
I submitted you for a preposterous statement of the year tournament, by the way.
So you misquoted me, and
it's the same thing. You thinking there's more Adrian Peterson moves in a guy on the practice squad is...
You don't think he has more shiftiness to him than Asiata?
Yeah. Then McKinnon? No.
I didn't say than McKinnon.
Right, but you went... You didn't go to AP's backup. You didn't go to AP's backup's backup.
I don't think they...
You went to AP's backup's backup. The guy who almost wasn't on the team.
He wasn't on the team. He was on the practice squad.
Right.
Yeah.
If AP's not suspended.
I haven't seen evidence that they trust McKinnon. But...
Well, he's young. We have no idea.
Anyhow.
Anywho.
I thought, like I was going to say, I don't have any great love for Asiata. But that's because he's a rather unremarkable person. He's not actively harming the team.
Wait a second. Did you say an unremarkable person?
Yes.
Not just a football player. As a person,
His entire life, he's unremarkable. That may be overstating the case, but I tend to do that with Asiata.
No.
You told me that he was going to get at least quadruple his broken tackles mark.
I was close. I was one off. He tripled. He tripled his broken tackles mark.
2 of those came on one play.
Irrelevant.
So
the good running backs make him miss in the same play. Take that.
But he had, 13 rushes for 36 yards, so not even a 3 average?
I don't know.
That's what it was.
It was low.
I checked.
It was low.
But he was not actively harming the team like Castle was. I thought you saw...
It's hard to harm the team more than what Castle was harming.
True. But if you fumble, you can pull it off.
I suppose that is correct. And if you're James Jones, you fumble twice in the same play. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. I was thinking actually of Gerhardt's play against the 49ers 2 years ago, was that?
Oh, we're not in the same stratosphere. James Jones catches a pass, swings around, partially because the defender's pulling him, drops it near the sideline, gets out of his grasp, picks it up, runs it almost in. Well, not that close. At the 10-yard line, the defender catches back up to him, knocks it out again, and the opposing team recovers it at the 1.
That would be
the
sad
same
to watch.
Play.
Yep.
Even the Raiders' Twitter account made fun of it.
But he was not actively harming the team. And
sure.
I felt coming into this game that based on the way Miami won, this was a good game. Even though we didn't have Adrian Peterson, that this was a game for our offensive line to try to set the tone, to try to just hammer.
Set it and forget it.
Exactly. And I think Asiata had 10 rushes in the first half, which is not a ton for if that's your game plan.
Should have been more.
And 3 in the second half. We only had a handful of carries that went to other guys. Wright had 1. I think McKinnon had 2 or 3. But in general, this felt like a game where we should have leaned on our offensive line, even though we didn't have AP. Actually, speaking of preposterous statements, Do you I laughed at
I laugh at you.
I laughed at you because we were talking about after we found out that a certain running back wasn't going to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
If that changed our picks, because I had just put in my official pick that the Vikings would win, and then I got that news, and I promptly changed it in my Pick'em League and no longer had faith. But you stuck with it. Do you remember what you told me, why you told me you were sticking with it?
I don't remember specifically. I said a lot of outrageous statements, like the Vikings would have 200 yards rushing from like 5 different people.
You did say that.
I also said that we should have replaced Adrian Peterson on the roster with Christian Ponder and put him as a starting running back.
You said that too. You said many preposterous things. But the thing that got me was you said, no, that's not going to change my pick because I think the team can compartmentalize this. I don't think it'll bother them that much, and I think they'll still perform. And that's preposterous now for a second reason, because they did not perform. But the most preposterous part about that was nowhere in your calculation did you consider the downgrade from Adrian Peterson to Asiata. That was irrelevant to...
Of course it was.
If that's the case, then everyone that says we should cut Peterson because running backs are worthless...
No. That's not why. Here's why. Because, honestly, if you were to say who would you rather have, Matt Asiata or Noshan Moreno, I'd say put a name in the hat. Just let me pick blindly. Don't care. The only
You'd be wrong about that,
The only thing Noshan Moreno... Okay, Noshan Moreno came into the season and they're like, you're too fat to play.
Oh, I'm not saying Noshan Moreno is good. I'm saying he's not Asiata. He has broken more than 4 tackles in his life.
I don't have any video evidence to support that, Bun. And the Minnesota Vikings are a running team. A running team.
Are you actually agreeing with me on my stance that you didn't like Turner's play calling throughout the game?
No.
Of course not.
First off, I'm almost positive that second quarter he threw the entire game plan out the window. He probably gave it to a fan, signed it, and said, "Here you go, Sonny." But
we weren't down by that much in the second quarter.
Okay, maybe the second half then. But
even the second half, I mean, we were down by 17 points, I think. Yeah,
it was 17-7. Okay. You have to admit, when they direct snap to Matt Asiata, who you don't even want to be on the team. Yeah. I went there and it was right. Boom. He's pulling out every stop possible to right this ship and to get that score.
He was not pulling out the have Castle line up under center and do power running with Felton lead blocking. Just and over again.
Do you need a power back? I mean, I don't...
Asiata is technically our power back. Now, again, I have no great love of him, but...
Can't we just put Linval Joseph back there as a running back instead?
Fine. Or McKinnon. They said they trusted Asiata for whatever reason.
What if they weren't ready yet, but they're going to leash Anthony Barr as the running back because he played fullback in college? I turned my mic off. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. He played fullback in college.
I don't care.
He's big.
That's great.
He's faster than Matt Asiata.
They said they had faith in Asiata for whatever reason.
Sure,
they should have stuck with that longer than they did.
You can't.
Yes, you can.
You can't.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can. You can stick with that through the third quarter, unless you're down by 40 points.
3 scores is enough that you kind of can't keep with it anymore.
I disagree specifically because with passing, we had no rhythm. We had 0 rhythm. We needed some rhythm.
You're right.
And I think the best way to get rhythm, because it was bad Matt Castle day, was to lean on the offensive line more. I think you can run more than 3 times in the third quarter.
But the problem with your theory is that you have to have Matt Asiata is barely a competent running back. He's good because he's not. How do I put this? Philadelphia was the perfect game because we made plays outside of him. He didn't have very good yardage.
He had terrible yardage.
His per carry average was bad, but that's his perfect game because he keeps them honest just enough. Just enough. But when you're down 3 scores, they don't care about him anymore. And he's not good enough.
That's perfectly fine. If they don't care about him, he should be able to at least chew up the clock.
You don't want him to chew up the clock. You're down 3 scores.
We want to keep Tom Brady and that offense off the field and
no,
get their defense
you want
tired.
To score.
You want to score, but it wasn't going to happen with Matt Castle. It was bad Matt Castle day.
If you take 2 8-minute drives down the field, controlling the clock.
So 2 8-minute drives,
6 points.
Well, you can't end up with 6 points then.
Even if you come out with 14, you're still down a score.
You're down a score, and you're hoping your defense makes a play because at that point you kind of count on that.
You would have eaten up almost the entire second half.
8 minutes on each drive is barely more than a quarter. If your defense holds holds New England, you still will have enough time to run another drive or two.
Matt Asiata is not that guy, and you're not trying to control the clock.
I wasn't talking about 8-minute drives. I'm talking about just grinding it out.
You're not trying to grind it out. You're down 3 scores.
3 scores is recoverable.
It is recoverable, but not by grinding it out.
I think you have to wear down that defense for that last score.
Yes, you should wear them down, but grinding them out with a run game is what you do when you're within a score or ahead.
I don't disagree with
That's what they did to us. That's what they did to us.
I know they did that to us.
Because they were ahead.
We didn't have a passing game that was working. We didn't have a quarterback that was competent.
I understand, but the
fast-paced running.
The fullback
run more. That is my point.
Stop turning your mic off.
I did turn my microphone off.
Keep it up to your face.
Before we got on this tangent, because I worded it poorly. I'll worded it poorly. I worded it poorly. I felt that we got away from the running game too early. I felt we should have stuck with more of a power game because I felt that was our best chance to get the offense in sync going, keep their offense off sync, give our defense rest so hopefully they make plays. And I thought that was our best chance, and I thought Turner got away from it too early. That's all I was trying to say.
I agree that we should have continued running, but grinding it out, you're ridiculous. I still want to see you naked, but that doesn't change how ridiculous you are.
So that was the final stop on my depression tour.
All right, everyone off. This train is going back north.
Do you have optimism toward? Do you have
Absolutely.
negatives that I did not notice? Any negatives that I missed according to you?
Not really. I mean, I think we did a poor job of containing Chandler Jones. I mean, Chandler Jones is a little bit like what we want Anthony Barr to be, an athletic specimen. Apparently, we did not consider him a threat because, we didn't try and block him at all, kind of, ever. In fact, in one of my fantasy leagues, he scored almost 50 points. 50.
Yeah.
That's more than Peyton Manning. Yes, there were some negatives, but really, this is my point. If you take away that blocked field goal, I know you can't take it away. Even if it's not good, and you're still down by more, but then it's a 10-point game instead of a 17-point game. That's the difference in the world. That's everything. Because then you can run at your leisure. You can calm down and settle things down. And your defense did a good job. I think
did not do a bad job, but did not make plays.
Yes, they did not make plays, and
I feel we talked before that it was very similar to the first game except for role reversals. I felt the same way about the Rams defense. I didn't think they played that terribly. I just thought, outside the one big play to Patterson, they just got put in a shitty situation over and over again until they got worn down.
Yeah, if you look at the statistics, they were statistically good. Obviously, if they're put in those situations, you want them to perform better. But it is a tall order. That's a hard thing to do when you start the one to say don't let a touchdown in, and when you're constantly on a short field, it limits your ability. And then when you get into the second half and you're down by so much, you are pressing a bit, and now you're being worn down because of their running, they're grinding the clock, which is what
we didn't always seem to do a good job with. I know the term. Gap responsibility. That's not the term I'm looking for.
I'm pretty sure that's out of our...
because it seemed like sometimes we got some push, but then there would be one spot where the running back just blew through and gained 7 yards. Not constantly, but it did seem to happen.
Again, at that point, you're tired. You're tired. Unfortunately. If they want me to come run conditioning, I'm fine with that. I'm good at that. I can get them their legs back. But really, this was on the offense. This loss was on the offense. So, every team has a blow-up dump of a game. And considering it kind of surrounded one-ish play, I'm optimistic for the future. Let's be honest. Before the first game, we were set up to lose this game, right?
I thought so. You predicted a win.
I did, because I'm awesome like that, and I'm clearly the better judge of winning and losing. So, am I worried? No, because everyone thought we were going to lose anyway. And so, are there some things that you need to fix? Yes. Am I concerned about next week? No, because it's a completely different coaching staff. It's a completely different game plan. Everything's different. Do I feel better with Adrian Peterson? Sure. But I think I'm sure that we learned some things that hopefully we would put into practice even without him. Really, it comes down to the one play and Castle's play. If your quarterback does... Christian Ponder doesn't have 4 interception games.
If they don't let him throw that much.
Well, yeah, they'd probably spank him. Poor choice of words. Yeah, so it's a very young season. Very young. So I am not downtrodden. Yeah, I thought they'd win. But you know what? That's fine. One of the ones I thought they'll lose, they're actually going to win and even it out. What? Drop the mic. I'm out.
How about we take very short time because this has already been a very long podcast. Just
it has
predictions for the Saints game, win-loss.
I always want to beat the Saints. I hate the Saints.
I know you hate the Saints. Are we going to do it?
You know, before talking to you last night, I would have said no. I'm going to say yes. Because they basically did nothing. Their offense did nothing. I picked up their defense in fantasy, and I know that's different, but I do look at the statistics. Their defense isn't that great. And it's on a fast field, which, I don't know, I feel like Cordero Patterson is fast. I feel like McKinnon's fast. I feel like Adrian is fast. I feel like Matt Castle has showed some wheels. Probably only one wheel left. And I think that's more of Norv Turner's style. They probably don't win. I'm predicting a win, but they probably don't. I know I'm contradicting myself. It'll be a lot closer than last game. I don't think we're going to see a blowout either way. It'll probably be more like the Gus Frerotte Vikings against the Saints, where it was just kind of ridiculous, like almost touchdown after touchdown, and Bernard Berrian was scoring, and we ended up winning like by 3, but it was like, you know, something stupid like 42-39. I would hope our defense is a little better, and they're sneaky with the run.
Their number one running back is out. Ingram is out.
Well, yeah, I still don't really classify him as the number one. I like Pierre Thomas, but he's morphed into Darren Sproles, but he's not Darren Sproles. See, those are the things. That's why. And I haven't heard. I haven't looked yet. I believe their top cornerback is also either out injured or has some issues.
Okay.
So, Vikings win. Boom.
Vikings lose. I want to see the Vikings correct some of these mistakes before I assume they will be fixed. Because there do seem to be some things the Patriots exposed, and until they prove they have fixed those issues, I can't trust them against a team that can score points like the Saints can.
They also only have one sneaky wide receiver like an Edelman, and that's Cooks, and he doesn't really play on the outside, so Xavier should be okay. He'll be matched up on Colston most likely. And
had 0 targets this week, Randy.
And it's going to continue next week. You better bench him.
I don't think that's going to be the case next week. I think there will be targets.
This has been a really long podcast. We're almost at an hour and a half.
Yep. So we should probably sign off.
All right.
What's our sign off?
We don't have one, but I want to say, I love you, Bun. I want to be inside you.
Talked about murdering me for most of this podcast.
I have.
And we're out!